Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Kyle Anzalone podcast. I'm Kyle. Last week I didn't post an episode because I felt like um I wasn't in my word a lot last week, and so I didn't want to put just something random together. So that's why I didn't make another episode last week. And so starting this week off, I just want to tell you what I've been learning about this week. I've actually been going through John these past couple of days, and I'm on the part where, hang on, I'm at the scene of the crucifixion, or right before it, when Jesus is in the garden and then getting judged by the high priest and everything like that. But I just wanna point out a few things before we get started about today's video. John 18, it said this is when Jesus is in the garden of Gethsemane, and when Judas already gone to the rulers and be like, yo, I would trade in Jesus because the devil got into his body and into his spirit, and then all that took over. Anyways, um, Judas, Judas, knowing where Jesus was, then brought a band of soldiers, like a group of soldiers, to Jesus, and then um, Jesus, when he saw the group coming, they knowing what was gonna happen to him after he turns himself in, he steps up and says, "Who do you seek?" And the guards were like, "Jesus of Nazareth," and Jesus said, "I am he. I am he." And then Judas who betrayed him, was standing with them. And so in verse 6 it says, "When Jesus said that he said to them, 'I am he,' they drew back and fell to the ground." Like, I used to just skim past this verse and, like, okay, they drew back and, whatever. I didn't think much about it. And then I was sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, not only did they took a few steps back, they started falling to the ground because how powerful Jesus' name is, and like how powerful Jesus actually is just by saying his name. And keeps going on. Um, they take him over to the ruler, Calpheus. Don't quote me on names, but then the story of not the story, but the part where Peter denies Jesus, that gets interesting too, because the first person was this girl actually guarding like the ruler's area, and so like no one go in, and so that's when the first girl was like, "Yo, you Peter from Jesus' little gang," and Peter was like, "No," and then the second guy was just some standbyer, and he cursed them out, and like the third guy in John 18 verse 26 says, "And one of the servants of the high priest, that was a relative of the man whose ear Peter cut off, asked, 'Did I not see you in the garden with him?'" I never realized that the third person who asked Peter was one of the relatives of the guards who Peter cut his ear off, and then Jesus healed it, obviously. Um, but I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to share with you guys like those few things that I recently learned today. Honestly, I was just reading it before I started filming this episode, and so yeah, I just want to. That was cool. I just want to share with you guys that. But this episode today is really just talking about how God is aware of everything that we do, and like God loves us so much, and how He formed us at the beginning, and that He was just thinking about us like the whole entire creation. And so I just want to flip to Psalms 139, and I have two different versions, so I'm kind of be like switching back and forth. I have the ESV in my lap, and then on my iPad right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's right. It's right in the frame. But on my iPad right here, I have the NIV, and I just like the word. I just like the wording of the NIV better, but I really base it off the ESV. Whole different topic for a whole different day of like which version and stuff like that. I don't really care as long as it says what it. I don't really care what version you're reading from, as long as you understand what it's trying to say. I feel like that's the only thing that's important, or that's the most important part, you know. And so yeah, let's start from verse Psalms 139. It says, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit, you know when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path, and I was lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it all. You know it altogether. You, you hem in me and behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, and I can't attain it." Verses 1 through 6 is saying God is aware of us. And the Lord enjoys being aware of us. Like he loves it. Like he searches us and he knows us. I'm gonna that's just verse 1. It's like starting off strong with verse 1 is like he searches us and he knows us. And so he knows when we're sitting, he knows we are standing, and then he knows our thoughts because he searches us and he knows us. He knows all of our ways and he knows all of our thoughts and all of our plans. I just think that's so amazing. Like he just sits there and just, I want to say sit there, but like he zones in on our lives. Out of everything that he created, out of, the lions, tigers, birds, um, he sits on the lives that of us and knows us. He searches us. Like that's crazy in my opinion. And so he just like loves knowing about us. Verse 7 is where says verse 7 through 12. Here we go. Where shall I go from your spirit, or where the fan just blew my page. Here we go. Where should I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Shiloh, you are there. If I take my wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light about me be night. Even darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is in light with you. David is writing here is like, Lord, I can't hide from you. Like even if I go up to heaven, you're right there. If I'm in Sheila, which is another translation for hell, you are there. If I'm making my bed there, you know what I mean? If he goes flying off if I had wings, I start flying in the morning, he is there. If I'm in the bottom of the ocean, even his hand is right there. And then I love verse 11, how it says, like, even in the darkness, your light is still on me. Like, and then verse 12 is that there's no darkness that is too dark for him, because God is just a light of glory. Like, this light right here, like, you can see some, like, darkness right in this area. If you're listening online, you kind of got to watch it on YouTube to, like, see what this light I'm talking about. But, like, the light is showing from top to bottom, and there's kind of like darkness right here. And there's nothing that is too dark for God to show. And, whoa. Like, there's not a dark place where Jesus isn't shining. And if you take this cover off, I'm not going to take it off, actually. The light will just expand more. And I feel like in our lives that we have this cover on our life where our light can't shine. But sometimes we just need to take the cover off, and so our light can shine everywhere. Whew. I don't know where I got that one from, but that was crazy. I don't think that was what all I was trying to say in that verse, but whew, I just got wrecked. Um. Anyways, I think verse 12 is like, even in darkness, like you can't hide from God. He's always there, searching and knowing us in that moment. And I love verse. Let's read from verse 13. It says, "For you formed me, you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knoweth well." Like, I don't know if you ever like knitted something before in your life or seen somebody knit something. I've never knitted anything, but I've seen how long it takes to like make like a piece of cloth like this long, and it takes a while. Now imagine somebody who is 5'10", me. I'm not ashamed to say that. Short king for life. Um, like God knitted us together in our mother's womb. Like I know I'm not 5'10" in my mother's room. I was like, I don't know. Uh, I'm not gonna say a number because I don't know. But I was. My mom said I was the size of her hand, maybe bigger. But um, that's just crazy to think about how like, especially when we grow too. Like we grow or we keep getting knitted by God. And then David is just praising God how fearfully and wonderfully made he is. And so like there's anything that's like, this is why anything about you that you don't like in an identity spot is what I'm trying to say. God made that and knitted that for you in his image, because you were wonderfully made by God. You were knitted by God. Verse 15 says, "My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, integrally woven in the depths of the earth." NIV says, "My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth." God made us in like kind of in secret and like in a quiet place in the bottoms of the earth. Like this is him. I imagine like a workshop. You know what I mean? Like a man cave. We have a man cave outside in the house. It's not really a secret spot, but it's kind of like the spot like you want to get away from people. Like you go in there, do what you got to work on. I imagine like God goes out there and is like making like this coolest like invention. Like Apple, for an example, they made everything in a garage, and now we have all these Apple products. And cool, whatever. But my brain is thinking like God went out to his garage and started knitting us together, and boom, he said it was perfect, it was good, back in Genesis. And then verse 16 says, "Your eyes have seen my unformed substance," or NIV says, "Your eyes have seen my own unformed body." Back to ESV, and in your book were written every one of them, that the days that were formed from me, when I, when I, when as yet there was none of them. And then NIV says, "All the days ordained from me was written in your book before one of them came to be." Guys, there's a book in heaven about you, about me, with all the things that we have done and are going to do in our lives. Like God holds near and dear to his heart. Like there's the Lamb's Book of Life, and I imagine that there's another book on his gigantic bookshelf that says Kyle Angelou, 2006 to whatever day I die, or die on this earth at least. Actually, it's just, I imagine it now as 2006 dash empty. You know what I mean? Because eternity. Um, yeah, God just knows. God has a book about us. That's crazy. I can't imagine a book about me. Verse 17 is, how precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. If I were to count them, they are more than sand. I wake and am still with you. God's thought about us is a lot more than all the sand in the world. Of how much he thinks about us, how much he cares for us, and how much he loves us. Verse 19, it says, "Oh that you should that you would oh that you would slay the wicked, O God, the men in blood depart from me, that they speak against you with the malice and invent. Your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you? And I do not loathe those who rise up against you. I hate them with complete hatred. I count them my enemies." In the verse 23 to 24 close, it says, "Search me, O God, I know your thoughts. Try me, and know my thoughts. And I see if there are any grievous ways in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting." And David is saying here, search me and know my thoughts. God, like he wants him to do this now. And then David's also saying, test me and be known of my anxious thoughts, because and the gospel and Jesus saying, don't be worried about anxiety, because or don't be anxious. But I mean, it's gonna happen. We're human, but I want God to be aware of my thoughts, of my anxious thoughts that I'm having. And then in verse 24 is, see if there's any offense way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. David is writing, see if there's anything offensive in my heart that I'm taking offense to, and release it so I can be in the way of everlasting. Guys, I hope this episode was encouraging to you, and I will see you on the next one. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple. But aside from doing all of that, I want to invite you guys, would you guys consider partnering with me financially? I'm actually about to go back into the mission field here in September. So your generosity helps send me into going back into the mission field. So I want you to pray and ask God, how should I partner with Kyle, whether that be through prayer or whether that be through financials. And I want you to ask God, how can I support Kyle and his ministry? Guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.